And in this video, exactly as the title says, I'm going to show you free property websites that you need to absolutely know about for your next property investment. And let's not waste any time and let's go straight into the first one, and it's about flood zones, bushfires, heritage, etc. And if anyone ever tells you need to pay for any website or program to look at this information, they are lying to you. Or everything about flood zones, bushfires, heritage, overlays, etc., they are absolutely free. They are council websites which you can have access to and look through for each state, each region, and each suburb, right? So it's really important that you do your research online for absolutely free. And the first one you'll use if you invest in Victoria, for example, is this one here called VicPlan or mapshare.vic.gov.au/VicPlan. And I've just got the Shepparton LGA over here. And if you start to look at the layers, you can see a bunch of different layers like heritage zones, bushfire zones, and you can see the bushfires that's coming up. There's also, when you zoom in, you can see Aboriginal cultural heritage land zones and etc. And there's also floodway zones. So if I did land subject to inundation and I checked here, I can see which parts of Shepparton actually flood. And so these websites are absolutely free when it comes to flood zones, bushfires, etc. And it's not just Victoria, it's for all states. For example, in the New South Wales one, we also have a very similar map called planningportal.nsw.gov.au/spatial viewer, and you can have a look at it in your own time. In a very similar fashion, they have things like bushfire under hazards, and I can check the bushfire zones of this area and it comes up. In a very similar way, you can check the heritage, you can check the flood zones for this state, for the region, for the suburb, etc. So that's your first free property website or information, is that the flood zones, bushfires, heritage zones, any zoning type, you can do for absolutely free for each state, each location. Do not ever pay anyone or anything for this information. Let's get on to the next one. And just before I go any further, if you have not already, make sure you jump into the private community. It's an absolute no-brainer at $35 a month. There is so much value jam-packed into this community with resources, templates, links, and so much discussion about different locations. There's over 25 reviews for you guys to go have a read about and listen about the community. And if you're lost, confused in your property journey about which location to invest next, what type of property you should be looking for, or if you just have any general questions about a location, suburb, or a property, then you need to jump into the community because you'll get help from others as well as mentorship and guidance from myself. So you don't need to pay tens of thousands of dollars to a buyer's agent to do this work for you. You can join the private community for $35 a month, an absolute steal. So make sure you do jump into the community because you will not regret it. All right, let's get back into the video. Now, the next critical free websites that you should be using has to do with public housing. And there are two key websites that you can go to analyze the public housing in a location. And the first one is OpenStats. And if you go to openstats.com.au, you can see in housing types, we can see different locations here. And let's just say I picked Bendigo, for example, here. This will actually show me all the public housing throughout Bendigo. And when you zoom out, you can see a lot of it is marked yellow or red, showing that there's a lot of public housing. But what you really need to do is start to zoom in on a certain suburb, for example, like Golden Square, and you can really see which pockets have the most public housing and which ones have less public housing. So obviously the green, it's good, red is bad. Pretty straightforward to understand. And you can even zoom in and you can look at it. This section has no public housing. It's mostly owned by owner-occupiers and some private rentals. While as this one, if you click on it, you can see about 11% is public housing. So when you do your due diligence about a certain property within this pocket, you then need to call up your property manager and actually check where is that public housing, which street is it specifically on. So it's really important you do your due diligence because these websites, they are only a guide, right? They're not a foolproof method to actually determine public housing, but it is a guide for you to avoid the bad pockets and just sort of speed up your due diligence process, right? And there's also one more other website you can have a look at, and that is Public Housing Heat Map on Microburbs. Microburbs is a great website you can use to check the public housing, and all you have to do is just to start to look at a different location. The website's a bit glitchy, I would say, but here you can see if I zoom into Tolland and Mount Austin, I can see that this pocket has 65% public housing, and this side doesn't have or only has 2% public housing. So if I see a property come up in this red section, I'm most likely going to avoid it. But if it comes up in the green section of the suburb, I will consider buying it because there's no public housing, right? So these are two excellent websites that you can utilize for your next investment property. And don't worry, there's more websites I'm going to go through as well. And listen, if you want more free websites that you can use for your property investment journey, comment part 2 down below. Now, the next websites that I want to go over is about the economy, the diversity of a location, and there are two main websites that I utilize for this information. And one of them is RemPlan. Now, RemPlan is a great website to use to determine the economic output, the GRP of a location, because when you have a look here at app.remplan.townsville or whatever it is, you can see that the economic output is 43 billion, employment 110,000 jobs, and you can also see the GRP trends of this location as well as building approvals and the population growth of a location. Not only that, you can start to zoom in a little bit more when you click on industries, and down here you can see various different types of industries that the area actually has. So you can see Townsville, for example, has healthcare, public administration, education training, and more. You can also see this by percentage, so 17%, 12%, etc. And you can break down the employers in this region, which is really, really useful to have. You can also check the economic output of each of these industries and sectors down here. You can even look at wages and salaries as well in Townsville, North Queensland. You can also break it down by regional exports as well as regional imports, which is a really good way of determining how the economy or the local economy functions and what really goes in and out of this location. And another really good website you can use is Economy ID or ID Community, which has really good metrics which you can analyze off. It's got the GRP as well as population. And what I always look at, and if you're a keen subscriber of my channel, then you would have known that I go to economic indicators, and I also look at local employment. Thing I look at is unemployment rates as well to make sure that there's more jobs in the area. And then I also go to local employment and check employment by industry. In a very similar fashion, I like to check what these industries are and the percentage breakdown of this. So these are two websites that you can utilize to study the economic diversity as well as the economic output of a region. And it's absolutely for free. So why don't you use it, right? So make sure you use it. Sometimes they won't be there for every single suburb or location, but if it's a decent sized regional town, they will have it. So go check it out. Now, the last property website that I want to go through for this video, I will make another one if you guys want, put part 2 down below, and I will. But for this video, I want to go through SQM research. Now, this is a great resource to do a lot of property analysis around a suburb. It has so much data, so much metrics. I honestly don't know why they won't charge $60 or $20 or $100 per month, because I know people would pay for it because that's how good it is. All right. So if you don't want to use HTAG or DSR or Suburbs Finder, like a property research tool, SQM research provides so much value, right? So if I was to look at asking property prices, I can have a look at the property price trends in a location. I'm just going to put Shepparton, for example, and I can search up Shepparton, and I can see the property price trends over the past couple of years all the way till about 2010. So not really a couple of years, a long time. But you can see the 12-month change, you can see 3-year change, 7-year change, as well as the rolling quarter change, as well as the month change. And that is really good for us to see, right? Not only that, another really good metric that we can use this for is we can look at the stock on market for the region or area. I like to split it by houses and units. Don't even bother looking at units. And I can see how much stock is actually available on the market for a given postcode. And I can look at the trends of it as well. Another really good one I like to look at is vacancy rates. I like to see how much vacancies are in Shepparton. I can see it's been rising for the past couple of months, as well as a vacancy around 1.3%. So another really good metric I can look at. As well as that, I can look at the gross rental yield and how that's tracking. If I take off units, I can see how that's tracking as well, around a 5% yield in Shepparton. Wonderful. And so this is another very powerful resource that is absolutely free. where I can check the rental yield, the demographics, the population change, the sale price, and more. And it's all for free. So you need to be using this website to, one, just cross-reference your data, but also if you don't have a paid resource, then you can use this website. It's an absolute no-brainer, like I like to always say. Now, I have given you very powerful tools that are absolutely free for you to use in your own property investment journey. But if you need more help or more guidance, or you're struggling in your journey and you don't have the funds to pay $10,000, $20,000 to a buyer's agent, and you just want to cross-reference your information and get a little bit of support, then you need to be part of the private community. It is the largest exclusive Australian property community out there. It's an absolute no-brainer for you guys to join at $35 a month. I am always here to help you. I'm extremely responsive, and I know I will be able to assist you in your property journey. So till next time, thank you.